Welcome back, YouTube. Man, it's been a rough couple days here at Function Garage. If you're a subscriber or you watch some of the shorts, you might have some insight, but you're looking at this engine, you're like, oh man, the RX-7's all torn apart. And yeah, you know what they say, good old rotary reliability. Well, we did have a little case of that. It's not really engine dependent, but let's walk through the play-by-play and tell you what happened. And of course, the night before the incident, we're street tuning the car, putting in a base map. Air fuel's good. We had stable fuel pressure, great oil pressure. Car's doing great. And we're like, this is great. Let's go ahead and turn it up. 17, 18 pounds of boost, a little bit of race gas in the tank just to keep it spicy. We're doing a bunch of pulls. Now you're probably thinking, oh man, you had such a good time tuning, the car's holding steady air fuel, let's take it out the next day, let's have some fun. No. Next day, part throttle, 3/4 throttle, boom, detonation. What the hell, right? We lost the fuel pump. Just for reference, just so you guys know, this is a fully built 13B, right? So it's pinned, it has studs, it is a big street port, someone call it a race port. It has a balanced rotating assembly, pretty much everything except for a 2-piece E-shaft. This is a go to the moon, really streetable 13B motor, right? So we got lucky. Obviously, with all the motor work we did, SMG Racing did an amazing job putting it together. She's alive. Only issue is she blew out a bunch of gaskets. We're gonna have to go ahead and tackle that. But here's essentially what happened. So that didn't sound good, right? No, it didn't. It sounded horrible. In fact, I had to limp it home after that. But here, let me show you kind of what happened. Here's the rem flex. This is essentially the exhaust manifold gasket. You see that chunk missing? See, that used to be there. Got blown out. It delaminated this side on the rotor 2, and it actually split on that side as well. So a lot of pressure was in that engine to make that happen. Here, take a listen. Yeah, so what do you do, right? You limp it home, throw it on jack stands, and you start tearing it apart. Can't really complain, you just got to get to work. So took the exhaust manifold out, took everything out, cleaned the gasket material off the keg, put the new gasket in there. Figured, you know, exhaust manifold's out, I'm going to put some of this DEI reflective tape here, get some of the heat under control. Comes in gold, stuff's outplayed, silver's the way to go, just my 2 cents. But essentially, put some on the hood, put some on the frame rail and the strut tower there just to keep some of the heat away. All right, well, some of you guys may have seen it on the shorts. I thought it was pretty funny, but I really think a lot of people haven't had to take apart a turbo after it's been run for some mileage, right? Especially on a rotary with all the heat they have. These things are actually pretty difficult to split apart, right? These center cartridges are really stuck in that turbine housing, especially when there's an event of detonation, right? So one thing I have to say, it was funny, but it's true. You got to put some heat to the center, to the rear housing. You got to put some heat to that turbine housing. And you grab a hammer, and I'm saying don't hit the front. Do not hit the compressor housing. This is cast aluminum. It's going to shatter. But you can hear at the rear. It's cast iron. Give it a couple hits. I'm not saying mollywop it, but hit a little bit, loosen up things, put some heat to it. Eventually, it will split apart. Okay? Trust me. All right, well, with a little bit of maneuvering, a little bit of finaglery, we got the exhaust manifold in. Tight squeeze between the frame rail and getting it onto the studs on the keg, but it's in there. Now, it's actually a pretty cool piece. This is a Gleesman exhaust manifold. Fortunately, he doesn't make them anymore. Ton of other aftermarket manufacturers for exhaust manifolds. This one's really cool. It's a long runner, twin scroll, twin wastegate, twin EGT bung, and that's a mouthful. It's a lot of good stuff that makes the turbo spool up nice and spicy, just the way we like it. She's in there, really close to that to that heat tape. You can kind of see how it offsets the turbo a little bit far forward, but she's in. Well, the front of the turbo is in. Yeah, a little bit more work than I expected, but she's looking all shiny there. Had to do a little bit of sanding on the mating surfaces, but she's in. Hand tight, can still spin it around, make sure everything's aligned. Now, the one thing, you know, not to go too in detail, but you really want to keep in mind is the oil feed and the oil drain. There's actually a spec of degree for the level in which it's vertical, right? So you can go a couple degrees either way to make it fit in your specific application. You really don't want to go too far outside of that. That's how you start pooling up oil. That's how you start burning oil, burning the rear seals, etc. So keep that in mind when you're putting your turbo kit on your car. Try to make those as linear as you can. Second part, You really want to make sure that everything lines up. You don't want to have any undue stress on couplers. That's how they pop off, etc. Try to make sure everything aligns. Make sure the flow looks good going to the front mount. Make sure all that is in place before you tighten all the bolts down on the turbo. Alright, well, we're back at it. It's way later tonight. Had to run some errands, meet up with some friends, but got some more progress on it. The upper intake manifold's on, the throttle body, the elbow, all the couplers are tight, all the plumbing is in place. We got the vacuum line for the brake booster on. We got the downpipe on the turbo. That was a real job. So it's a full 4-inch all the way back. 2 vibrant mufflers, stainless steel, heavy boy. Had to use a little bit of leverage there to get that V-band to seal, but she's pretty much, I'd say, about 90% there. Just a couple more things to button up. Alright, so it is the next morning. We are draining her guts. You can really smell the fuel in the oil. It's pretty obvious that the combustion gases made it through some of the oil seals and oil rings on the rotors and got into the oil, so it's a good thing we're draining it. Alright, let me get under here and bring you guys with me. Yeah, look at that. The Fortune Auto coilovers with Swift springs, definitely recommended on this chassis. Alright, maybe one day we'll have a lift like those fancy YouTubers, but essentially, I want to show you, I plumbed up the vacuum lines for the wastegates, got the dump tubes tightened and in place. Not exactly happy about that vacuum line as close as it is to that dump tube, so I'm going to try to move it away. I do want to have an overboost issue. Alright, another day, and she's finally coming off jack stands. Look at that. Didn't think the day would come. Oh man, over a month floating in the air, reminding me every day I walk by it. But she's done. At least 99.5% there. Got the new map sensor in. My tuner's going to come by to rescale that. Still got to do the fuel pumps. That's probably going to be for part 2 of this. Honestly, I just got to say, you know, obviously we work full time. We do this as a hobby. And it takes a while to get things done, but thank you for watching. I would say leave in the comments, man, what are you guys working on? What builds you guys got? Have you gone through something like this where you put it together and it just ends up in a bad way? Just let me know. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff, and you should be seeing some more content coming soon.
Oh, what the f